This is Canucks Only.
This is Canucks Only.
Here are your hosts, Shylo Smith and Rob Young.
Okay, all right. Shylo.
Hey, Rob.
How's it going?
It's good. It's going good. I'm actually pretty happy.
Good for a Sunday evening, late after the Edmonton game. Here, we're going to catch up on Canucks Only. 2 games on the weekend. You know, this condensed schedule is good and bad because it doesn't seem to. It's relentless. You know, there's a lot of action, a lot of games happening. So we're trying to play catch up too. I guess we're on the Olympic schedule as well. So
yeah, I also think, and hopefully it doesn't pertain to us, but the schedule is going to generate a lot of injuries this season.
Totally. 100%. And then, you know, no rest. And they mentioned the broadcast tonight against Edmonton about the lack of practice time. And some guys are going to have a ton of time off. And some guys are going to have no time off and no practices. So it's really, you know, we saw it last year with Four Nations and the injuries taking its toll. Maybe this some of the carryover with both the Canucks being injured and, you know, Barkov. But did Barkov even play? I don't think he did in the Four Nations. So... anyway, so let's go back in time. Let's go in the time capsule. Hockey night in Canada. You had talked about all the available tickets, and boy, I'm not sure there was many empty seats, but there was a lot of Habs fans there, as there always is against original 6 teams. And so, what'd you think? What'd you think about the Canucks versus the Habs?
It was the step that I wanted to see. Yes, they lost the game, but there was effort, there was passion. Remember last time I was saying how they looked like they were all playing without passion?
Yeah.
There was actual passion out there. Like, people looked like they were giving that extra oomph and really, you know, caring about what they were doing. It was good to see. It was really nice to see them taking that step. You know, we had Petey getting, you know, 3 points in the night, and which is something you need to see. You know, Hughes getting on the board. Unfortunately, we also had some injuries that game, but
right.
But this was, they did everything that they needed to do, and perhaps except win faceoffs. They were really bad at the faceoffs. They were 38% overall.
Oh.
And,
ouch.
And as I've said before, I'm a strong, you know, you can't win a game if you don't have the puck on your stick.
Right.
And if you're not winning the faceoffs, you're not starting with the puck on your stick. So it's important to win those faceoffs. And they were 39% in the offensive zone and 32 in that's neutral zone and 43% in the defensive zone. So everywhere below 50. Which means you're not controlling the puck. You know, they had a decent amount of shots. They had lots of good shots. You know, Elias Pettersson had a couple of I think 5 shots and a goal. So 4 shots and a goal. Connor had 3 shots, 2 shots and a goal. You know, Boeser had a couple of shots. So your key guys that are supposed to be scoring were taking lots of shots, right? DeBrusk had 5 shots and a goal. So the guys that you want, you know, Kane even had 4 shots. So the guys you want shooting, the guys that are supposed to be generating your offensive threats, were actually doing that. They were taking the shots, and though if you take a look, a lot of them weren't like high sort of risk reward shots, high danger shots. But there were some, and what's his name? Goalie.
Lankinen.
No.
Dobich.
Yeah. Looked like really, really pretty solid.
He looks really good.
Like the goals that they got were quality. You getting those on any goalie, and he made a lot of good saves. So there wasn't a lot of high danger shots, but the ones that you know he had to stop were stoppable, and it like I said, it was a good step because I was a little worried from those last 2 away games. And I was like, this, and I mean, I've told you this before. We've spoken about this before. And I predicted sort of this thing. I said, they're gonna if they come out and win the first 3 and then tank the next 2, they got to come out hard against Montreal because it's going to be a tough game. Yeah. And if they play like if they don't come out hard and rebound from the 2 losses, then I'm worried. It's a downward sort of spiral.
Right.
And yes, they lost, but they played better. There was massive improvements from everyone. So I was actually happy with the game and the way they did.
How much do you think that the fatigue of the road trip played into it? Into the Nashville game and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, maybe not so much, but Nashville for sure for me. But how much? And then going from a Thursday game to a Saturday game, how much do you think rest? Yeah, travel and rest, and getting back in their own beds.
Yep. The Nashville game, I think definitely they were sort of starting to feel it, right? And you can see it in their play and in their legs. But man, you got to overcome those. Like, have you looked at the schedule?
Yeah.
I think they got like 12 games that are going to be, ones that they are seriously going to have to overcome being tired and playing a long stretch of games, playing back-to-backs. I think this season they have more back-to-backs than they have in the past, 8 seasons. So...
Well, just listen to the Edmonton broadcast. They recorded the 4K version on my PVR. They also have a lot of back-to-back. So I think it's not just us. So, but there's no excuses. So you have to win those games when you have the advantage of the back-to-back. So
yeah, exactly. And so as tired as they may have been against Montreal, like I said, there was a step up. So maybe that 1 day's rest sort of got them there.
Yeah.
They looked really good. And then at the end of that game, I was like, okay, they lost. There's a step there. But now they're doing another back-to-back. So they just had, a grueling road trip. They had a day off. They get beat by Montreal, even though they could put in a good effort. And now Edmonton rolls in. And I'm like... and Hughes is out,
right?
And Heedle's out, and there's 2 others. We had 4. Actually, I think we have more than 4 injured players. But
Bluger's out.
Bluger's out. Yeah.
Just
that's
mentally
3. Trying to think of everyone, but I can't. Anyway, a lot of key guys are out, right? And this is where Connor Garland really shines, because now he becomes that sort of top energy guy.
Yeah.
And also, Sherwood.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, 100%, yeah. So I was a little concerned coming into the back end of this back-to-back. Edmonton hasn't been doing that well, and I was worried that McDavid was going to be playing angry. And when he's doing that, he basically is near unstoppable. Yep.
And Draisaitl as well. Those 2 guys, 1-2 punch. But thankfully we were, and I guess I jumped a game here. But we were able to shut them down. But let's stick with Montreal and wrap this one up, and then we'll talk about Edmonton.
Yeah, for me, they looked fresher. There was nice, like you said, there was a nice step in the right direction of progress. And I think I'd be a lot more concerned, like you were saying, if we didn't see that progress with the team game. And I think that's what I saw these 2 games was the team game is finally coming, and it's nice that PD's also starting to wake up around that same time. DeBrusk had a great game. Mm-hmm. Boeser's contributing. Garland is incredible. Did you see my tweet? I said all the people that wanted Garland gone 3 or 4 years ago can all stand up now. I've always been a big Garland supporter.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, and it's for the simple reason that how many times have we seen teams in the playoffs where there's a game plan and the team that should be favored, whoever you're cheering for, and they can't get going. But Garland is one of those players that can dig deep, turn the motor, and make something happen out of nothing. And for that reason alone, it's like, come playoff time, you can never replace a Connor Garland. And now Sherwood's falling into that same category, and to have both them going and having essentially, unbelievable kickstarts to their seasons is a thankful thing, to be perfectly honest, just given the all the things that we've been dealing with so far. Slow starts, players not firing. So yeah, you need those spark plugs, and ultimate spark plugs for sure. Yeah, so the Montreal one, and it's funny because I had to leave. I had I had watched the first period. We're up 2-0, and didn't we talk about that a little bit, or do we text? What was wasn't it still? I'm just going to go back into the highlights here. At what point? So we're up with 5 minutes left in the second period. We're up 2-0. So that's the second game in a row we're up 2-0. And, so that's obviously something that they have to work on.
Yeah.
And so that was a little I couldn't believe it because I had to leave and I checked the scores. Like, they lost. I was in shock. Like this, they looked full merit for the effort and the 2-0 lead.
Yeah.
They were really stymieing Montreal, but Montreal's talent, I mean, you go up and down that line, that's 3 lines of incredible young talent they have.
Yep.
You look at their lineup. So real quick, okay, so Cole Caulfield, Suzuki. And then you've got the high draft picks that are starting to show up. Slafkovsky, Hudson. That guy is always a pain in the butt, as a big grinding defenseman, big tough defenseman. Then they acquired Zach Bolduc. They had Kirby Doc. And then there's Oliver Kapanen. And then let's just go back to the ones I didn't talk about is Alex Newhook. Did I mention Lane Hudson already? Because,
nope.
Obviously, Calder winning trophy. So he's in that, I'd say that third wave of young talent they have, followed by Noah Dobson, Alex Newhook. And then on like third, fourth line is Josh Anderson.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. It's super crazy. And their D is solid. That Mike Matheson always annoys me because he, the first year of PD, he took a cheap shot on him. And I have a long memory for that stuff. Him and Kotkaniemi both cheap shotted PD pretty good and gave him a super rough ride in his rookie year. And don't like them. But then Jake Evans, and then Joe Veleno. It's crazy. They 3 lines of stacked young talent. I mean, and someone was saying on the radio a couple days ago, maybe before the Montreal games, like, hey, just FYI, Alvin has the exact same tenure as the GM in Montreal, Hughes. And I'm like, wow, what a difference and how important hitting on those draft picks are. Now, Demidov was really high. Slafkovsky was really high. I can't remember how high Lane Hudson went, but you need that in the salary cap era. If you go back all the way to when Carolina won in 2006, they had Cam Ward and Eric Stahl on entry-level contracts, but they were both playing like $8 million players. And for me, that unlocked part of the secret of what the salary cap success is that you need young guys that are playing way above their cap hit and being effective. And in some ways we kind of had that. We kind of have that bubbling with the Cauldron line, the Abby Canuck line with Sasson, Baines, and Carlson, but not enough yet, right? They're chipping in little, and then the flip side is that the Montreal young guys are winning games for them. So that's the big difference. So the Canadians took over in the third period. I was shocked to see that they won, and I was floored. Actually, I thought we had that game in the bag, and it kind of just shows you that in the new NHL that talent and skill is going to trump it, get you a win most times. Mm-hmm. So sucked. That Demidov goal was crazy. What a shot. That kid's edge work is Quinn Hughes-esque as a forward, as maybe a power forward. His what do you call it when they side to side, he set up the assistant movement. Yeah, he sets up in that I don't even know the term for it. I do, but I can't think of it. It's late. But he did it against the Calgary the Flames in the OT setup, and he set up Matheson for the OT winner and did the same thing. Cut across the ice. Crosby does it all the time. That's the first time, people do it in the warm-ups or whatever, but Crosby does it so pronounced in his warm-ups that the hockey broadcast a couple of years ago was pointing out how he was really dialing into that. It's the C-cut move around the back of the net where you put your feet facing opposite directions and you make a big C circle so you can cut hard into the net or around to the net. Anyways, it's it's not new, but you don't see it until the last few years with Crosby kind of doing it, and Demidov has taken it to a new level. His edges look super crisp like Quinn's does, and so they win that game, and their goalie played good, but their young talent for me really took over. So
yeah, they did.
Anything else you noticed in that Montreal game?
I think fatigue started to set back in.
Yeah.
In the late in the second and throughout the third.
Yeah.
You saw the legs. There was bursts, and they were doing their best to manage it. But I do think that it started to catch up to them a little bit, right? And just in some of the, I don't want to say lazy plays, but in the less. In plays that take less energy to complete, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So they're taking not the easy way out, but more like, okay, I don't have the legs for this. I'm just gonna try, banking it off the boards. Oh, it got intercepted.
Yeah.
It was, I think fatigue sort of started to trickle in a little bit. Not that it was a huge. I don't think it was a huge factor like it was in Nashville's game.
Yeah.
But I do think it sort of crept in. And same with the Edmonton game, which we'll talk about.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Canucks and the Oilers. So that game just wrapped up an hour or so ago, and what'd you think?
I love this game. It was another huge step up, and for these guys, I got an injury thing here. So they got, what's this, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 guys off the roster with injuries. So Mancini we lost today. All right.
Yep.
Defenseman. Quinn Hughes we lost yesterday. Defenseman.
Yeah.
Derek Forbert 2 days before that on the 24th. Defenseman. Jet Wu and Breezewall. Way back at the beginning of October, both defensemen. So, out of the 9 guys, 5 of them are defensemen.
Yeah,
which is going to be interesting.
And thank goodness, as I'll eat some of my words on the Joseph signs. I think my words were I'm not sure why we signed this guy, and holy cow, he's really come to play in the last 2 or 3 games because we've needed him with Forbert being out. Yep. And as people say every year, you can never have too many defensemen, especially come playoff time. But regular season, you think you don't need it as much. But thank goodness, because he's playing very nice. He's playing some solid hockey there, and actually generating some shots on goal. Like you mentioned the other episode that he got, I think 3 shots on goal in that one game, and he continued to chip in a little bit here in a little bit of an unexpected way, because I haven't seen him play a ton. I've seen him, a little bit, but it's a nice have, that's for sure.
Yeah, he had a couple shots in the Edmonton game as well, and if he can play 10 to 15 minutes a game and not be a liability, that's a great thing.
Oh, huge.
Right?
Yeah.
So he did 11 and a half minutes, and and he looked pretty good there.
Yeah, super serviceable. Like, you didn't notice him in a bad way, which is the first check mark of most players. But then when you're filling in, you don't want to be noticed for all the wrong reasons. Yeah.
No, exactly. So this game, I was super excited about. I was also one of those things where, again, I was kind of like, I might be a little worried, just because now we're talking, 1 day rest in the case of 4.5 days. How are they going to do? They don't have Quinn, Hughes, and what's this going to look like, right?
Yeah.
And just on a side real quick, so what's his name? Pierre-Olivier, I can't do it.
Olivier.
Joseph.
Yeah.
Joseph.
Yeah.
He was a 0. He was an even point on the night. So I don't know how many goals he was out there against for. Let's have a quick look here, because I'm curious
Joseph.
now. I'm curious. He was not on the ice for any of Edmonton's goals.
Yeah.
So he played 11 and a half minutes, and he wasn't on the ice for a single goal.
Yeah, especially with 97 and 29 out there, like, for goodness sakes. So
that's impressive. Anyway, I was a little concerned about coming into this game.
Yep.
And so much, in fact, that I dumped all of my Canucks out of my hockey pool. I had to save some games. I'm looking like I might go over if I don't manage it a little bit. So I actually dumped my Canucks, which I should have dumped the Oiler guys. But anyway,
yeah.
But they came out looking great. It was just like everyone had energy.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone was like, even Kane. Like, if for anyone that was saying that they don't think he's a good, I think he just needs some time to settle and learn and play with these guys to know where they're going to be, because he does have, some nice hands. He can make good passes. Look at that pass he made to Boeser on the backhand while skating backwards, right? Like a no-look backhand pass right to the tape.
Yep.
I think he is going to be an asset. I also think he's going to be, I'm not putting him on the same level as JT.
Yep.
But he is that type of a player where he's a high risk and high reward type player.
Yeah.
So, for every awesome backhand that he does to Boeser that leads to a goal, he'll do 3 that get intercepted and go the other way.
Yeah.
And as long as they don't translate into goals against, I'm more than happy to take that sort of high risk, high rewards, right?
Yeah.
But I think he's got to settle into his game with the Canucks, and I think we're starting to see that. So that's exciting. Pettersson on the power play, like these are the things I was talking about. Well, I've been talking about for all season, right? Getting that power play going, getting Petey just tons of ice time on everything.
Yeah,
he had over 20 minutes against Edmonton. Getting the these guys going like on the power play, that was the confidence in his shot. It was back. It was old Petey.
Yep.
Right. Like we haven't seen that for a while. And it was so nice to see that just hammer home. And then again, I think the third period, I think fatigue really hit them, and they also took a couple penalties.
Yeah.
Actually, I think they only took one penalty in the third. Yeah, there's only one penalty in the third. But when at 14:30 with 6 minutes, 5.5 minutes left, taking a penalty with two of the most deadliest guys in the NHL is never a good thing.
Yeah, an all-star power play.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think they also sort of looking a little fatigued, but and this is what they didn't do in the Montreal game. They fought through it, right? They let them tie it up, and they didn't let them, Edmonton was putting pressure on in the last bit of the third period. They wanted to win this. They didn't want it to go to overtime.
Yeah.
And the Canucks held in there. They fought them off. There's some great defensive plays. Elias Pettersson, number 40 now, is the number one player in the NHL for blocked shots. He has more blocked shots than anyone else in the NHL. Yeah. And and then to go to overtime, and then sticking three forwards out there with footy going with all right, let's just go three forwards. I was like, let's high risk, high reward. Let's do it, right? Well, after
Hronek, there's no one really with the offensive flair. I mean, Mancini maybe, but everyone else is definitely defensive.
Mancini was out by then anyway.
Yeah, totally. So,
but I mean, he also grabbed the two high energy guys and the one guy who's already sniped one, right? So.
Yeah, Boeser's playing great. I liked that was fun to see. I mean, definitely unexpected. And Sherwood, it was out of his mind this game. It's a little bit crazy, contract year and everything. Mm-hmm. But wow, watching him crank up his game and keep cutting the pedal down on the accelerator, good for him. Amazing. Someone put the $6 million number on his contract a few days ago. I'm like, oh, come on, that's a bit much. It's well, maybe 6, maybe not be so bad, right? If you can get him to the end of his career, if you say, hey, we'll give you the 5 or 6, but we'll give you 6 or 7 years because he's 30. Yeah. So if he's got that contract stability,
he might stick around.
Well, and if he likes it here, like I said that last episode, if he likes it here, if he likes the city, then why not press the advantages that we have of living on the best coast in Canada? Yeah. Sorry to offend the rest of Canada, but for everyone that's listening. But yeah, we don't have the tax breaks like the Vegas, Dallas, Florida franchises do. But so we got weather, a nice climate, and so we might as well press those advantages for trying to keep some players. So maybe Kiefer and his new wife like it here. We can only hope.
Yeah, but, man, did he was everywhere. He was. Oh, yeah. I haven't even checked how many hits. The Canucks had 14 hits. I think 15 of them are Sherwood's.
Let's see how many hits. Where's hits? He had only 4 hits. So
still, they were memorable. The hits, the 4 hits he did, I remember them. Yeah, and he had 3 goals, even though it was only 2. Thanks to
and he could have had one earlier before. He missed one earlier too.
Yeah,
so
and he missed one, and and Boeser missed one too.
Yep,
he had that. I don't want to say open net, but
and Reichel missed one, and there was a lot of
one on the
and then P.O. Joseph had his that 3-on-1 with Assassin and I think it was Baines. Mm-hmm. But anyways, he had that chance. There was a lot of chances that we left on the board. Very encouraging. not having Hughes, which was a surprise. I'm not sure when they announced that, but when he wasn't playing. But what I think I liked the most was this was a complete team effort. There was no passengers. No one was not giving everything. Like Drew O'Connor had a good game. Ratu had a good game. You didn't really notice Myers for the wrong reasons too much. Maybe Reichel was quiet. Baines, another couple of slick moves. Didn't really amount to much, but man, that guy's got some talent. But really, I mean, O'Connor had a good game in my mind. Sasson, I don't think he got that much ice time. He only had 7 minutes. So they must be. That's weird because that's the second game in a row he hasn't had a lot of time. Him and Carlson had under 8 minutes each total game. Whereas Baines had less than 7 minutes. He had even less time. So I mean, it is the Oilers though. So who knows what the game plan is? But everyone contributed. And
Baines
when you
looked great
lose
out there though. Sorry to interrupt you, but I was just remembering like some of the he was out there not that much, but when he was out there, it was noticeable. He had a really solid game. He's
so sneaky. Like the stuff that he does, honestly, it's like the first comparable is Cliff Ronning at a different body size, but just the amount of ability he's got to, and he does very unusual things, and it throws people off. You cannot expect what he actually does on the ice. Either it's an in tight curl of the puck that you're like, what's he doing? And then he fires off the pass. His vision is excellent. It's crazy. I really hope he gets it together because then we have a great player who will always want to play in Vancouver. For the most part, contract if you ever have a contract dispute, but hometown boy, wow, he is becoming a treat to watch for me, and even at only 7 minutes of ice time. But yeah, what I was going to say is that we've been on teams where you lose your best player, like the guy who can do a lot of stuff, and then the team rallied, and so you don't want the opposite where you kind of looking down the bench and okay, who's gonna do it? There was no looking down the bench because it was every hop over the board, someone was doing something to contribute. Yep. Solid game by Demko. I was going to say that Sherwood's right behind Draisaitl for amount of goals now. He's got 6. Draisaitl got 2 for 7, but at one point they had the same amount of goals. Between him and Garland, I mean, we'd be kind of sunk right now without these two guys. Thank goodness we locked up Garland long term, and we'll see what happens with Sherwood for his contract.
And I love that after he got his big contract, if you will, Garland, he's playing even above that, you know what I mean? He's not a player that like all of a sudden, oh thank goodness I got the contract, and settles down. He's playing like his contract's up next season.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's funny because when you think 3 years ago he was on the third line with Bluger and Joshua, and you think, oh wow, that's a great third line. And then he kind of got bumped up to the second line last year with all the controversy between Miller and Pettersson, and then the injuries and then the absences, and you're like, oh wow, okay, he can really do well at the second line, because the fact of the matter is, if you go on the first line, you're playing against another first line or a first line checker. If you're on the second line, you're going to get a second line matchup. In the third line, I think is one of the secrets to hockey is that if your third line is better than the other team's third line, there's a good chance that you should win that game.
Yep.
Goaltending's a secret, obviously. Offensive defenseman's a secret. And actually, for Canucks Quest, I've been working on a longer, anatomy of a Stanley Cup winner, and those items are very strong components of having success, especially in the playoffs.
Yep.
But Garland on the first line, it's a bit of a revelation. I'm not sure many people would have known that he could do this, dominate on the first line, because he can go on any first line in the NHL at this rate and be effective. And there's people that can survive the first line, but he can actually contribute and make a difference.
Totally. He'd be your low boards guy, like the guy that's getting the puck and making the passes, right? Like that's what he does best.
Well, that one sequence behind the net where he, bounced it back himself like
guys.
2 or 3 times and still gets the puck. Like, he's such a unique commodity as the spinning water bug at 5'6". It's crazy. There's been 5'6" guys before. Theoren Fleury, Ronning was maybe 5'7". Who else? The Martin St. Louis was 5'6", but he's a different thing. He's small and he's quick and way more of a water bug than say Ronning was. But Ronning would do that, but he can keep going. Like his endurance and his stamina to keep going on those types of shifts is crazy. So I was having this debate about, with all the noise about Pavel Zacha being in the Canucks crosshairs. I'm like, having a Pavel Zacha, and this relates to Garland being on the third, second, and first line, is that when you have the Pavel Zachas of the world on your third line, that's when you start to win hockey games. And I don't like the noise about Zacha right now because he would slot into the second line, and I don't think he's effective because I don't think he's that great of a player, especially for 6 overall. But Garland really was part of that catalyst in my mind. It's like, when you can drop your players down the line, that's when you've got the depth. And that's the scary thing about Montreal right now. They've got this young depth, and they're exciting, and they're elite talent, and they're skilled, and they've got, whatever their cap window is before a couple of them have to get big contracts. And when they hit those, the walls and ceiling of the cap window, that's when you start having really crazy success. And good or bad, the salary cap is the ultimate equalizer because everyone can have a $20 million player if they want to. Some teams just don't want to, or they'll have 3, $9 million players, however you want to balance. I know that math doesn't add up, but, when I think it was Stamkos, someone quite a few years ago signed for almost the same, the highest amount of the league, whoever the highest player was at the time, and they maybe weren't the same caliber. Like, this is the Kaprizov sort of problem equation. I mean, Kaprizov is very, very, very good, but is he better than McDavid? No. He isn't. But if he demands the same money as McDavid, the team can pay it if they want, if they're structured the same way. Anyways, that's the long and the short of where you fit in with your depth, where they fit into the lineup. My point about players playing up and down the line. When we signed Malhotra back in 2010, we signed him for about $1 million more than the market rate. What was being reported he was going to get paid, which was about $2.5 million. We paid him $3.5 million, and then he was on the third line. And Malhotra, up to that point, was playing on the first and second lines on teams. He wasn't doing very well, but when he went to the third line, he started destroying people. His face-off ability, and you put him with Torres and Hansen, who were they were
amazing in that third line.
And so that's kind of right now, this team with the question marks of Pettersson, Hughes, and everything, but the team, we with our stars of Demko, Quinn, Hughes, we need the PDs, we need the Heedles, we need all these other players to do their part, whether they're playing up to their salary cap hit or not. But then we need the young guys coming underneath, and you need to be playing almost out of your line matchup, right? Like in for us to have success, Drew O'Connor has to be on the fourth line. Teddy Bluger has to be on the fourth line. Even Ratu being on the third line is a big shrug of the shoulders and I don't know, I guess so. But even Ratu, if you put Ratu on the fourth line, that's a different story because he'll destroy the face-off. They'll have possession. You put someone that can hold the puck. Anyways, it's a formula, right? And so we have too many components right now. And as the Montreal game showed, and Edmonton not so much, but as we covered in the beginning of the season too, my comment was our bottom 6 is fine. Our bottom 6 is good. It was really about the top 6, and it's still true, right?
It's still true.
We have a gaping hole in the number 2 center. Lucas Reichel may or may not be able to fill that, but he's a good young talent, and he should hit above his cap hit in Canucks uniform. That's my prediction. I think he'll be fine. His talent's very good, and he's looked okay. He's missed a couple of chances so far, but he's looked okay. So,
but he actually He actually was at 62% on the faceoff dot too.
Oh wow,
today.
that's great.
So for a person that everyone was saying is a liability on the faceoffs, he matched up against some of the best faceoff guys in the league and came out 62%, which is amazing. So
well, and I guess that's part of the danger of kind of prognosticating that stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone with a new fresh start, especially if they're not playing well, you need a few games to see what they're going to do, right? So. Yeah. And maybe the same is true of the Pavel Zakas of the world, but I've been watching Zacha for his entire career, to be perfectly honest, because for my long-term pool, you're trying to find all the players, and you get to draft at the entry draft, and then you have to make room for players that you find, but you're also looking for those guys that sneak through, your first draft that year, or maybe even from the previous year. And Zacha has always been on my radar because you watch, like, oh, he's a high pick. Like, and, he's a 55-point year guy, right? Mm-hmm. I don't even know what Heedle is. I would say at this point, he's a worse Heedle. Anyways, I'm going on a bit of a tangent on there because I just don't like the chatter, because even X is totally divided on it. Where people are like, I think people are I think a little tired of having holes in the lineup, and they're losing their patience, and I don't think you can. And I guess my last comment about that is that, are we afraid of pain? Are we afraid of, the whole retooled versus rebuild, the whole Benning, Aquilini, Linden saga of oh no, we're not ready. But then Linden gets kicked out, and then all of a sudden we're retooling. We never suffer that pain. We drop down far enough to get a really high draft pick. Some of the picks have worked out really well for us, obviously Hughes and PD and some other ones. But, look, Boston got the 4th overall this last summer because they tanked it, right? They were terrible. And I'm sure that was terrible for Bruins fans. And good, awesome. Give the Bruins some pain. But we haven't really suffered yet, right? And so that's sort of the conversation is do we want these terrible Band-Aids? I made a comment about, this doesn't help the Quinn Hughes equation. And, that video I sent you about, what was the title of that one? Is the best player in the world? No, it wasn't the best player in the world. Oh, geez, what was that? What did I send you? Where the comparison of the defenseman in the NHL and how far...
on the chart.
Yeah, how far... ahead Quinn Hughes is.
Yeah.
And then with the comments this summer that Quinn Hughes by Zegras, and I can't remember the other guy, said that Quinn Hughes is the best player on the planet. Mm-hmm. They're like, whoa, what's going on here? And that guy that did that video, I'm just going to scroll our chats here, when you're the best defenseman in the world, but that can be equated to defense is harder than forward, so is he the best player in the world? Anyways, it's a different conversation, but those Band-Aid solutions where we feel no pain, I don't know. These middling Band-Aid fixes are kind of annoying to me because we have a big problem on our hands, and it's will we lose Quinn Hughes at some point? And that's really that has to be the focus in my mind. Otherwise, what's the point, right? Oh, we made the playoffs. Who cares? We've made the playoffs before. We've made the Cup Finals 3 times, and we're 0 for 3, and that's really the only goal.
I mean, that being said, they can't go and waste things just to pick up someone that, they still have to make smart moves.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Because I mean, if they all of a sudden dump the bottom 6, so that they can pick up a second line center. Well, what's that going to do for you? You lose 2 lines to get 1.
Well, I think it's going to be prospects. I think Willander, Mancini, who else? It would be those guys going versus, and because no one's going to really want a Max Sasson, no one's going to want Baines. We're watching them closer, so we're starting to do the Canuck thing and then starting to fall in love with the players. Yeah. But it's going to be our prospects and picks. And so why? And in my mind, it's why would we help Boston out for a guy who's not even really doing that well? No. This is literally buying low and getting low at this point. So I just don't like it. Anyways, good game for the old Canucks there. Sherwood winning it.
They look great.
Much better than the alternative, as we've said a few times on this show. But yeah, anything else stand out? I mean, I think it was all pretty solid. I think that all signs indicate like big thumbs up.
Yep. Their penalty kill looked good on the one, and not many penalty kills in the NHL are going to be able to stop a perfect McDavid pass to a perfectly positioned Draisaitl.
Yep.
And that's what that one was. And I'm sure I when I watched the replay, I'm like, guarantee that Demko wanted that one back, because as he slid across, his knee wasn't down, so his pad wasn't flush to the ice, and it just sneaked under. Right? If he had come across with that pad flush to the ice, he would have stopped that puck. So, I don't know if you can see it.
I think he got above the pad on that one, but yeah, I know what you're saying. I can see it. I think so. I don't think it went.
I thought it went
under.
below.
Let's see. I'm just watching the replay here. But Demko was fine. Demko was not an issue.
Oh, yeah.
That first one on Draisaitl. I mean, it's Draisaitl. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It went under. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
so
went
he
under. That first replay looked
just a little.
Yeah.
Just a little lift
flat
in the pads, right? Like if he and I'm not saying that was still great positioning. He did awesome.
Yeah.
But it's one of those ones where I bet you if he was to look back at all the goals, he would be like, okay, well, those are all good goals. That's the only one I want back, right?
Yeah, totally. Well, I'll take it. Like you said the word emotional game for you to watch.
It was very emotional.
It was a lot of fun. I was as I'm recutting the episodes and uploading to YouTube, like watching some of our older stuff, like my expectations still very tempered. This was a pleasant surprise. Lots of good signs. Until PD is firing at like say 85% and Quinn's firing at 90%. I'm not sure I have many more expectations of like what you predicted, how these games were going to go. Like this is also one of those games we predicted. We're not sure how it can go because either we'll get blown out back to back, or and if I put money down, it's the same as my sports actions. Like some great calls and some terrible calls. Like we're batting like 50% on our predictions so far, but. I'll take it. I'd rather beat Edmonton than lose to Edmonton for the division points at this point versus Montreal. Rangers in town. JT Miller coming to town on Tuesday. This sputtering Rangers team against hopefully. Well, I don't know. Do you give the Canucks a day off tomorrow, a day of rest, or are you back at it?
Oh, that's a tough one because with the amount of guys out, you sort of want to get guys playing together and getting a little familiarity, right? I'd
optional skate. Yeah, optional skate.
Optional.
Anyone that's got battered and bruised, and I'm sure emotions and tempers may or may not be high on Tuesday, so we'll see. JT Miller.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. All right, well, let's wrap it up for this episode.
Sorry, one last prediction.
Yeah.
Is JT Miller and Kane throw it down.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
No love lost, as they were never teammates, so that's a possibility. So we're going to put $1 on Play Action or Sports Now or whatever it's called for a tilt
between Kane
between
JT
the
Miller.
former 9 and 91. So, all right. Well, that's cool.
Right.
That's awesome. Okay, Shylo, good stuff, and we'll talk to you on the next one.
All right, Rob. Thanks.
All right, have a good night. All right.
Thank you for watching Canucks Only.
Canucks Only. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe.